Today you're going to learn how to set up your math notebook. Everybody will need a composition notebook with at least 100 sheets of paper in it. Today we're going to learn how to start with the table of contents. So each one of you will get 3 pieces of paper. The first one is numbered 1 through 23. Behind that, you're going to put the one that's numbered 24 through 45. And behind that, you're going to put the one that is numbered 46 through 67. You're going to put them all together. And then you're going to open your composition notebook. And we will be stapling them in on the front cover like so. Okay, when you staple, you have to make sure that instead of putting your stapler the right way like this, we are going to turn our stapler around. And we are going to then put 3 staples in at the top. 1, 2, 3. Now, your table of contents should be set up so throughout the year we can turn the pages and you will be good for the rest of the year. Now that you have your table of contents set up, we're going to set up our first page in our notebook. So the very first thing we're going to do is number this page in the top corner, page 1. And we are going to glue onto that the If I'm Stuck page. And this page is what you should do if you're at home or you're working on your homework and you don't know how to do a problem. This is something you can look at that will tell you where to go to get help. So we are going to glue that page in right here on the first page. So take your glue. Now you do not need a lot of glue. A little in the corners, maybe a strip along the side is all you need. And then glue it in like so. One thing we don't want to forget is once we have page 1 in our notebook, we also want to label it in our table of contents. So page 1 we're going to call If I'm Stuck. Now we're going to start page 2 of your math notebook. Page 2 is going to be on exponents and the order of operations. So the first thing you're going to do is go to your table of contents on page 2 and write in exponents and order of operations. Once you've completed your table of contents, you're going to turn to the next page in your notebook. You are not going to write on the back side of page 1. You are going to leave that blank and you are going to title or number page 2 up in the top corner. And then you have to put a title. Each page should have a title at the top. So the title for this page is Exponents and Order of Operations. Now we are going to start our notes. And to start our notes, you are going to need your green colored pencil and your blue colored pencil. You're going to start by writing a big 3 in the green. Oops. Okay, and then you're going to use your blue pencil to write a 4, a little 4 up at the top next to the 3. Okay, the 3 is called your base. So using your green pencil, you're going to write base. That is the large 3. The 4 in this number represents an exponent. So you are going to use your blue marker to label the 4 as your exponent. What this means is 3 to the 4th power, which means you are going to multiply the 3 4 times. So you will write that as 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. You've repeated the base of 3 4 times. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, that equals 81. Next, we're going to start the order of operations part of your notes. So you're all going to get a half sheet of paper that looks like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your half sheet of paper and you're going to cut around the perimeter of the shape. So you're only going to cut around the outside of the shape. Once you cut around the outside of the shape, it will now look like this. Once you get it cut out, you're going to take this and you are going to glue it in so it lines up kind of with the bottom of your page. I'm going to write the title over here, Order of Operations. And I like it to stand out, so I'm going to put a little box around it, like that. And now some of you are familiar with the order of operations. It starts with parentheses. So in your first box, you're going to put a P in the middle of the box. You want to leave room at the top for some writing and room at the bottom for some writing. So don't make your P too large. Make it go in the middle. And the P should be written in purple. P for purple. So we will write the P. And in our order of operations, P stands for parentheses. So underneath the P, you are going to write parentheses. Okay, parentheses means the parentheses that you're used to seeing, like this. It also is brackets, and brackets look like this. And then sometimes there's something called curly brackets, and they look kind of like squiggles. All of those fit in the category under parentheses. So if you see either the regular parentheses, the brackets, or the curly brackets, you're going to do what is inside those first. The next step in the order of operation is to do the exponents. And so you're going to take your orange crayon and you're going to write in E for exponents. Then you are going to take your pencil and you're going to write exponents, and you can write it, I'm going to write mine going up and down just to make it look different. Exponents. Then, in the order of operations, you do your multiplication and division. So we are going to write an M for multiplication in green, and a D for division in green. Now, we're going to label that as multiply and divide. But the key on this step, and the reason there are two boxes next to each other, is because you don't always multiply and then divide. These actually work left to right. So we're going to write left with an arrow to right, meaning sometimes you might divide before you multiply. The last step in the order of operation is to add and subtract. So we're going to write with our red crayon an A for add and an S for subtract. Then we will fill it in using our pencil, add and subtract. And these are similar to the multiplication and division step. You must work left to right depending on how they show up in the problem. Now, we're going to make some notes to go with our pictures here. So let's go down to the multiply and divide section. Now, we wrote that you must go left to right on our paper, but we also want to give ourselves a little hint about that. So we are going to write off to the side next to those boxes, we're going to write always. We're going to underline because that's an always happens. Then we're going to take our green crayon to match the multiply and divide, and we're going to write multiply and divide from left to right. Now we're going to do that same thing for the add and subtract. So we're going to go to the boxes where there's add and subtract, and we're going to write always, and we're going to underline it. Then we're going to take our red pencil because it matches our add and subtract. So we're going to write always add and subtract from left to right. Now, usually when students make mistakes in the order of operations, it is right here in the multiply divide or the add and subtract section. That's why we want to write it twice to show how important that is to remember that step. Okay, the last step of our notes for exponents in order of operations is we're going to show you an example. Now you have some free space right here. So we're going to title that example. Okay, and we're going to start out with this problem. We're going to start out with 17 minus 5 squared divided by, and then in parentheses we're going to write 2 plus 3. Now that we have our example, we're going to start out by following our order of operations, and it tells us to start with the parentheses. Since I see parentheses right here, I am going to go ahead and add 2 plus 3 and make it 5. Now I'm going to carry everything else down exactly the same that it is written. 17 minus 5 squared divided by the 5. Okay. Now I'm going to write right here parentheses because that is the first step that I did. Now when I'm looking at this problem, I look and I say, oh, there's an exponent, and that is my next step. So the next thing I'm going to do is my exponent. So that's this part, 5 squared, which is 25. It means 5 times 5. So I write 25 and I carry everything else down exactly the way that it is written. Now I go to my multiplication and division step, and remember it's not always multiply and then divide, it's whichever one of these comes first. So when I'm looking, I have subtraction and divide, so that means I must do the division first. So I write divide. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Carry everything else down, 17 minus 5. Now, most of you can see we're at the last step, which is just 17 minus 5, which brings us down here to the add and subtract step. So we are going to subtract 17 minus 5, and your final answer is 12.